Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Focus TV. Um, Obviously, it's good to be back on here talking to you all. Joined tonight, as always, by Octavia Wyatt. We got Cardo Dudley Jr., Raymond Lyons, Wilson Tarpe Jr., and again, is the Focus TV. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. First of which, we're going to talk with our very special guest this evening, assistant coach for Good Counsel in DC Premier Basketball, Coach Anthony Guy. Uh, After that, we're gonna, it'd be negligent of us to not sit down, take some time on this program, this platform that we have to discuss everything that's going on in this country and around the world right now. Like legit negligent for us to do that, for us to not discuss it. So that's what we will. That's one of the things we'll be discussing as well. Jamal Hayward's again the consistency. I commend you, good sir. Pandemic still going strong, and my man's still out here knocking out these 9-450 breakdowns. So we truly appreciate that. But again, Coach Guy, I want to welcome you to the show. So thank you for taking some time this evening to spend with us.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. I'll kick off the first question. Then Octavia, Cardell, and Raymond will also have some questions for you. So little easy one right here. First off, again, because it's a pretty big decision. You don't just choose to go do this unless you really want to or are passionate about it. When did you know you want to be the coach, or what was the first moment that pushed you in that direction?
2011, 2012, I was coaching at Prince George's Community College. I actually hadn't started coaching yet. Had a best friend who was enrolling in school. Went to practice to, kind of see how it would be. Met Xavier Joyner, who was the coach then, then moved on to PBI and is now as an assistant at JMU. Was at Mount St. Mary's last year. He let me stay. He let me stay and check the practice out, and it felt like a game. It felt like I was a player again. There was an intensity, there was a spark, and I would say that day, that year, 2011, was the year that and I kind of thought about it and I said, I think this is something I want to do. JUCO is obviously a different avenue, a different route, but I'm glad I started there because it definitely gave me like a blueprint, a guideline to kind of take this the way I wanted to take it, to see if this is really something I wanted to do.
All right, Cardell, I'll pass it along to you.
During this edgy time.
I'm sorry, you say it one more time, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, how are you, your family, the Good Counsel coaching staff, DC Premier coaching staff, and the players during this edgy time? How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. Zooming, staying in contact, texting, just kind of being there for everybody. That's at the beginning of the pandemic, when you couldn't get in the gym, it was, making sure that everybody was at least had a ball, could get outside and do the little things. Us as coaches. We're still doing the calling college coaches, talking to anybody and everybody that we can. And it's just a matter of trying to keep that camaraderie, even though you can't be together physically, with social media, with Zoom, with iPhones, with, all the other things out there, you can still be in contact and still have that, team kind of, team building, team camaraderie, even though, you can't be together. So, that's one thing we've been trying to do. And, the family's good. I have a little one, and I will say she's happy that Daddy's home a little bit from basketball. But she said it yesterday. She said, "Daddy, I'm ready to get back in the gym." And I said, Daddy's right there with you. So, we've been hanging in though. Hope all is well with everybody else too.
Man, it is, man. I definitely know that feeling with the kids situation. My true first question with you is, we hear all the time from WCAC head coaches about how competitive it is. Just the grind year in, year out of coaching. I want to hear from the assistant coach your perspective, how it feels from that seat, because y'all don't really oftentimes get a chance to, tell it like it is from y'all end.
I mean, I said it's a grind and then plus some. I feel like, as a great assistant, your job to be like a step ahead of your head coach. So it's not really knowing, not necessarily just knowing your players, but also knowing your head coach too. And I say being with G, the best thing is G gives you a platform. He allows you to speak. He allows you to get to know the kids. Get to know faculty, get to know everything. So it's different. It's different, but it's something that always keeps you on your toes. You know what I mean? So it's like being there for the kids, then wondering, well, let's think, how would G like this, or is this going down the same path that he's kind of set up to make sure that everything falls in line, and so it's definitely I love it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that it's the dirty work. Not everybody can be LeBron, but everybody can be Rich Paul. Is what I like to say.
Octavian Raymond's on one of y'all.
I got a question. With the summer approaching, I know how big AAU season is. How difficult is it, and kind of weird to possibly not be doing what you guys are used to doing at this time? Like, how difficult has that been?
Man, it's been tough. Because AAU there's a structure in the WCAC. There's a structure, there's a way of, doing things. Things have to kind of, you got to have a plan. AAU, as though you still have a plan, there's more of there's a freedom. There's like a freelance to it, so it's I compare the two as, like a WCAC season is like, trying to write that perfect song, Whereas AAU, sometimes it's like a freestyle, sometimes you kind of, it's not as scripted, sometimes you kind of have to go with the flow, be able to adapt and, be ready for whatever comes your way. But I will say we were so looking forward to it, coming off of that 2-point loss in the 16U, championship game. The boys were hungry. We had already gotten the gym, started doing some workouts and getting the kids together, and you could see it. I mean, they were locked in, they were ready. They were so ready. And it's just unfortunate. But I tell them be ready, because you never know what opportunity may arise from this. And you just want to be ready for that opportunity when it does present itself.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. And you kind of touched on it earlier, but I did want to ask, like, with everything going on, with the COVID-19 and that kind of putting a hold on everything, how difficult was it to kind of maintain the fluidity of the program? Like, everything pretty much kind of went left right after the season almost, and like just kind of talk about how you guys tried to maintain any resemblance of normalcy, heading to your off-season programming and things like that.
Yeah, it's been different, but especially with the guys. The guys, they won't say it, they won't admit it, but they like structure. They like knowing, all right, well, I know this is getting ready to happen, and the end of the season normally brings one-on-ones, and now it's off-season workouts, it's weight room, it's that kind of thing. So it's just been more communication. Whereas when we get to see them in person, I'd say we take advantage of being able to speak to them. But now it's texting, now it's it's FaceTiming, it's checking in, making sure everybody has necessary supplies like a ball or small weights or things like that. So it's just trying to stay on them. We've been actually working to put together like an off-season program booklet. That way we can issue it to everybody, and that way we know that everybody's doing the same work. So necessarily when people come back, when we finally get to be together, we won't have some guys who are up here and other guys who are down here. We're trying to keep everybody kind of on a level playing field. So that way we grow together.
Yeah, and we had Coach Kissel on not too long ago, and I would like to hear from your perspective as well. He really harped on the culture you guys have built. In what ways has that been able to help you guys kind of steady the ship through all this uncertainty?
Man, that's actually probably one of the things I give GJ most credit for. Both of us are alumni. So we bleed that Navy and gold. But when we first started 4 years ago, I guess going into the 5th, he had a plan. And it's one thing to have a plan in the beginning, and then you get going and you hit a few obstacles and there's some adversity. It's very easy to advert from that plan, just to eject and say, let's go to plan B. He stuck with it, and he stuck with it. He's been true to it. And just his passion, his desire, just, it fuels you, and I saw the plan. I love the plan. I said, let's do it. And just watching him stick to it, not trusting the guys. We've got guys that have been playing together now almost 4 years. That's invaluable. These guys almost have a language on the court that we can't really, even explain. So that's just been so beneficial, and, just sticking to it, we're starting to see some of the benefits. I mean, we're not there yet. We have some unfinished business. We have more levels that we want to get to, and, bigger goals and, accomplishments and things like that. But just seeing it kind of, seeing the wheels in motion, man, it's great. I can't say it's a proud feeling. It's just very, very proud.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go ahead. Well, hey, I kind of been there the last few years covering you guys, so I've seen the growth with the program. Y'all been building this thing up for years, but now y'all have a core that honestly will have y'all as contenders if there is a next season in the WCAC. Man, just talk about how it finally feels like y'all kind of right there to capture that ever elusive, WCAC championship possibly.
Man, it's been great. And like I said, I mean, like you start a plan, and when everybody starts a plan, you got a beginning, you got a middle, and you have an end. And like I said, staying to it when sometimes that end can get a little further and further. After that freshman and sophomore year, it was like, oh man, like, what do we do? And like I said, it was sticking to it, and just the hard work that the boys have put in, the work that G's put in. AAU has been beneficial. I know a lot of teams don't get to have 3 of their core guys all on the same team. Bez, Antoine, Dejan have been playing together since 15U on DC Premier. So if you look at it, that's a whole WCAC season, rolling into AAU, then back to WCAC, back to AAU, and this would have been, 3 in a row. So I mean, you're talking about guys staying, together, close knit, and like I said, the culture kind of stretched over to Premier. It's I can't say it's much different. And I mean, like with Coach Jamal, who's our head coach at DC Premier, with him being a St. John's assistant, that WCAC culture is it's embedded, and it's you can't really get rid of it now. Now it's in your DNA.
All right, Coach. One thing I heard you mention earlier that I liked when you were talking about having to be almost from a preparation standpoint, a couple steps ahead of the head coach. If you don't mind, could you just elaborate on that just a bit more?
Sure. So I mean, like, it can be something as little as GJ likes the clock set a certain way, or the balls a certain way, or if he's got drills in mind, or he'll send out the practice plan with us knowing, all right, well, let's have these 5s in mind, so that way when we get to practice, things move quickly, things are smooth. There's not a lot of wasted time and a lot of discussion or figuring things out. We kind of move. And I mean, that's great with the boys, because the boys are now looking, there's no dead time. There's no time for them to kind of, catch their breath or take the pressure off, or, kind of take it easy for a second. Everything's kind of in line. So like I said, it can be something as simple as just making sure things are set up. But it can also be something as, watching the film ahead of time and then coming to him and saying, hey, I see this, I see them cheating on this side. So let's run B instead of A. They know A is coming, so let's go B. Or something as far as, maybe defensively, like, hey, we've been doing this, but, this team right here has problems. So let's take a look at, possibly this. So just little things like that, making sure that he's got a lot on his plate. He's got a lot on his plate. So I look at it as it's my job to help remove some of those things, and then also make room so he can put more on his plate.
Right.
Coach, you're one of the, a lot of people told me this, and I agree. You're one of the brightest assistants, in the high school ranks in the area as far as high school and AAU. Do you want to be a head coach now? You just feel like more so your calling is the assistant coach role?
I mean, I would love to be a head coach. I just think that's always been in me. it's one of those things that, like if you want to be a teacher, I don't think anybody wants to be a substitute. If you want to be a teacher, you'd rather be, a teacher of a certain subject and, have your own classroom and everything like that. So that is definitely something that I am striving for. However, if you would ask me right now, am I ready? I would tell you no. I'm still learning so much about, X's and O's and, schemes and things of that nature. A lot of what I know and use is just based off of the things that I've learned from great coaches, being around, great coaches, from playing for great coaches. I played in the WCAC. I went to Counsel, 2002 to 2006. So, I'm sure you guys seen on the computer, they're talking about that the Mather team of 06 is one of the greatest. And I played that team. I played Kevin Durant, Mike Beasley, Nolan Smith, Jason Clark, Austin Freeman, Chris, and the list goes on and on. So, and I never was one of the best. I never had the aspirations of making the NBA. So when I was playing, I was actually trying to take little things, hey, why do they do that? Or why did that coach, why does that coach do that? Just trying to figure it out. And then, when I got to Frostburg, I asked coach if I could handle all the scouting reports. So, just as a freshman here, I was putting together all the scouting reports. So just little things like that. I would say I've always had a knack for the ins and the outs of the game. And I'm 5'10", 155 pounds. So I kind of knew the NBA wasn't for me. But, if I could still be close to the game and still be around the game, I just have a passion for it, So yes, I would say, end game is to be a head coach, but right now, I'm enjoying learning. I'm going to these clinics and, like I said, talking and Zooming all I can right now. And I'm still got so much to learn.
All right. Octavia, Raymond, y'all had any other questions?
Just one more thing, Coach. You kind of just touched on, when you were saying, how obviously, like you accepted that the NBA wasn't really, a destination for you. Do you ever kind of latch on to players who may want to stick around basketball, but may not have a foreseeable future at the next level or beyond? Do you kind of take them under your wing, kind of guide them towards coaching or something else that would allow them to still be around the game, just not in the arena of playing?
Always. I actually think that's one of, the things that separates me. I started coaching in 2011. So almost 9 years ago. I'm only 31. So, I started, 22, 23, whereas, most people are still playing, pushing to play, whether it's, overseas or possible, G League, semi-pro, something like that. No, I tell a kid, hey, if you have a knack, if you love the game, there's so many different avenues. There's so many different ways to stay close to it. And I didn't know that. I struggled for a while after, I stopped playing. And I couldn't really find it. I tried to play the intramurals and the pickup ball, but that's just not the same as a competitive basketball game. There's a different type of just fire, a different type of intensity, and it wasn't the same. And like I said, coaching brought that back out of me. Coaching gives you that. You feel like you're playing sometimes, and so definitely we had a manager this past year who I believe is going to be an amazing coach one day, Ryan Hoffman, and he's great. He taught me things this year. Coach Guy, look at this right here, and it's like, dude, how did you see that? And it's just funny because you catch kids like that, or and I always try to take close with the point guards and things like that. So always, if I can open up another door, or give a kid another avenue to stay within the game, then of course I'll do that. That's the only, that's the right way. People open doors for me, so it's only right to open those doors back for others.
Right, appreciate it, Coach.
Love that you brought that up, Raymond and Coach. Definitely appreciate your answer because it's something where I know a lot of folks that look like us, no matter if you're on the women's side or the men's side of the game, you only think about it as a player, and if it's done, it's done. So you don't think about how many different ways you can still be around this game or any other sport that you love in a different capacity. But Coach, again, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us this evening. Wishing you guys continued success both at Good Counsel and DC Premier. And as Cardell mentioned earlier, please continue to stay safe, both you and your family. We're about to take a quick break. But before we do that, again, Jamal Hayward, 9450 breakdown. Man, this week he will be breaking down pass fake options coming off screens. Again, Jamal Hayward will be breaking down pass fake options coming off screens in this week's edition of the 9450 Breakdown. And once again, thank you so much, Coach Anthony Guy. You have a great night, and we'll see you guys on the other side of the break.
Man, thank you guys, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem, man.
Thank you.
We're not even going to be shooting the ball. We're going to work on some options coming off the screen. The phone rolls the screen. Some pass fake options. Okay? So, we're going to start on this side, left side of the screen. So, I'm going to come off regular. Obviously, when you come off the screen, come off tight. So, as I come off tight, I want to come to a jump stop. Pass fake. So, it's a chest pass fake. Now, depending on how the defense plays and what your big does with rolling, or your opposite guard, whether he's lifting to the wing or drifting to the corner, those are where your pass fakes are going to. Okay? Hop step, overhead. Remember, my first one was the chest pass. Now, hop step, bounce pass, pass fake. Okay? So, we're gonna go a little full speed here. So if my big is rolling, here, I got a wide open shot, okay? These pass fakes allow the defense to react right to the person that you're faking the pass to, so you can have a wide open shot. So now I'm gonna go the other way. I'm hop stepping here. Bounce pass fake. Overhead. Chest pass fake. Those are the three options that you have for pass faking. We're gonna work on, we're not even gonna be shooting the ball. We're gonna work on some options coming off the screen. The phone rolls the screen. Some pass fake options, okay? So, we're gonna start on this side, left side of the screen. So, I'm gonna come off regular. Obviously, when you come off the screen, come off tight. So, as I come off tight, I wanna come to a jump stop. Pass fake. So it's a chest pass fake. Now, depending on how the defense plays and what your big does with rolling, or your opposite guard, whether he's lifting to the wing or drifting to the corner, those are where your pass fakes are going to. Okay? Hop step, overhead. Remember, my first one was the chest pass. Now, hop step, bounce pass, pass fake. Okay, so we're gonna go a little full speed here. So if my big is rolling, here, I got a wide open shot, okay? These pass fakes allow the defense to react right to the person that you're faking the pass to, so you can have a wide open shot. So now I'm gonna go the other way. I'm hop stepping here. Bounce pass fake. Overhead. Chest pass fake. Those are the three options that you have for pass faking.
All right, welcome back to the Focus TV, and once again, special thanks to Jamal Hayward for knocking out this week's edition of the 9450 Breakdown, and again, would like to thank Coach Anthony Guy for hanging with us for a little while tonight. Hopefully, you guys took something from him. No, I definitely did. And as Cardell mentioned, one of the brightest assistants in the area. Keep a name, just keep that name in mind. If you hear it in the coming years at different places, as obviously the arrow's pointed up. But I'm gonna hand this over to Cardell right now. We told you guys at the beginning of the show where is what we do here. We're gonna talk about literally what's happening in the world, what's happening in these communities right now, our own communities. So Cardell, the floor is yours.
What's going on in the world is protesting, and in some areas burning because of the social injustice, the blatant racism from the powers that be in this country. We saw, unfortunately, another black man get killed last week in cold blood on video by a cop. And we saw the powers that be up in Minnesota try to cover it up basically try to smooth it over. And I just applaud the people that didn't allow that to happen. I just wanted us to have a real discussion about what are your thoughts, not just on that situation, but the continuation of just the outright murder of so many of us, black men. I can't forget the black women. It just seemed like 2 weeks ago we was talking about Ahmaud Arbery, and then here we go next week, and then Monday during a protest, another brother I'll mention later got killed. I know personally I'm just tired of being tired, so I want to give the floor to you guys and just be open and honest about what you feel and just seeing what's going on. Let me start with you, Octavia.
Okay, so for me, I have a lot of mixed feelings about everything that's going on. One side of it is it's very, very overwhelming for me. So it's hard to constantly be on social media right now. And then the other side of me wants to be on it to be informed and to know what's going on and, stay up to date with everything. But to be honest, mentally, it has been tough for me. I try not to get into everything, but it's been really hard. As much as the situation with George Floyd has impacted everything across the nation, for me personally, and this is not to say tit for tat who's worse or nothing, but our very situation kind of resonated a little bit more with me personally because my boyfriend actually went to Brunswick, Georgia for 2 weeks after he was killed. And we didn't even know, it hadn't even been reported yet. So the fact that my boyfriend was actually down in actual Brunswick, Georgia, like not Atlanta, not wherever else, he stayed in Brunswick, Georgia for 2 whole weeks for his job. So it kind of bothered me to know that in that period of time that he was there, Arbery had already been killed and we weren't even aware of it yet. It hadn't hit national media. So it's just kind of crazy to think that you never know when your life can be in danger, regardless if you're running down the street, regardless if you're being approached by the police. It doesn't matter. The two kids that got pulled out the car in Atlanta. I'm glad that Keisha Bottoms was able to get to the bottom of that as fast as she was, and I know that they're not done. But initially firing the two of the officers, they're bringing charges against them. But I know we talk about all the time bringing charges. We always get excited. I know I personally do when they bring charges because it's something, but they need to follow through because there's a lot of times that these people who have done these things have been charged and they get off. And I feel like that's the reason why they're still doing this thing. They know who to go to because a lot of the lawyer that the cop Derek Chauvin has is the same cop that got somebody off in, I think it was the Freddie Gray situation in Baltimore. So they're all talking to each other. They're all working with the same people because they're like, oh yeah, there'll be some outrage. I'll get in jail for a little while, but I'll get off. And I think that's where we need them to follow through with something. I think that's why people are so angry. And I understand everybody's anger. I understand everybody's, being upset. I'm the same way. I will say that everybody doesn't have the same, they can't express it the same way. Like me, I'm not, I can't get out there and go crazy like that. That's just not how I was brought up, period. I'm down with peaceful protests. Me personally, I still think COVID-19 is out there and I'm not trying to get sick. That's part of the reason, but I stand with everybody who's out there, people who want to be out there on the front line. I just feel like something has to be done. And I, how it looks now, it doesn't look like the United States is gonna get any rest until anything happens. Because this is honestly the first time I've seen this many consecutive protests every night. Like before they would protest, and then it would be done with. But I mean, like they've been protesting every single day in different cities all across the United States. So I think it's wonderful that we all are starting to come together. I think it's amazing that our white cohorts are actually, starting to talk more. You know, a lot. Richard Sherman came out and said that, typically a lot of the white quarterbacks in the NFL don't speak on things like this, but there have been so many of them that have come out and have started to talk about it, whether it be Carson, whether it be Andy Dalton, whether it be even Joe Burrow, who hasn't even, had a snap in the NFL yet. So I think there's slow progress happening. I can't imagine being, although yes, I'm a black woman, I couldn't imagine being a black man. So I feel for you guys. I feel for y'all that have kids. I can only imagine how difficult it is to explain to them what's going on top of this pandemic, and then all this other stuff that's happening. So I know that's definitely tough. I just talked to one of my friends. She has two boys, and she's like, I don't know how I'm going to get through this and explaining it to them. So I really feel for the mothers and the fathers, the parents out there, and especially George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. Like Cardell said, the guy that they killed, I believe, in Louisville. I just can't remember his name right now. I'm sorry, but it's just a lot. I don't know what's going to happen next. I just tell everybody stay prayed up, stay safe, and just try to make it through.
On you, Raymond.
Yeah, man, I've just, I think I've just experienced a wide range of emotions, since since everything kind of came to a head. There's been the anger, the sadness, frustration, then just kind of the numbness. It's it's a tale as old as time in this country. We've been experiencing this since America's inception, um, and it's hard to continue to revisit. Like I don't think people really understand. Like when something like this happens, it's re-traumatizing for a lot of us because unfortunately, as young black men, we are more more susceptible to mistreatment by law enforcement. Like, I've experienced it. Cardell, me and you talk a lot offline, and you've shared some of your experiences. Wilson, I don't know what your experience is with this, but unfortunately, I wouldn't be surprised if you said you've encountered it as well. So these are the scab continues to be ripped off. Every time something like this happens. So when you see people angry and just having outlashes and things like that, it's hard to, you can't fault them for it, like, because it's only so much somebody's going to take before they snap. And people need to realize that, like, the response from the country has really been encouraging to me. Like Octavia said, especially from from the white people who've spoken out, because that's what we need. Like they're looking their counterparts in the face and saying this is not right, and it needs to change. And to keep it and to be perfectly honest, I'm watching people doing this. I'm watching how you respond. I'm watching what you say or don't say. You're this is the time for gray area is over. It's actually been over. But pick a side and pick it right now. We're living in a chapter of history, and you can end up on the wrong side of history if you want. But this is not the time for indecisiveness. If you're opposed to the reaction to these atrocities, you're an inherently evil person, and I stick by that 100%. There's no way you can look at this situation if you have a decent bone in your body and say, this is a right thing to happen. So all these companies, all these celebrities, I'm personally watching, and I know a lot of other people are watching. Your activity or inactivity says a lot about where you sit on this. And I think coming out of this is is going to be a firestorm, man. And they can play games if they want to, but if the wrong verdict comes back, I fear for what happens after that, because if this country is in the shape it's in right now, I dare you Like really, I dare you to play games with this with this legal process. But I'm happy with what I'm seeing so far. They removed the district attorney and turned it over to the attorney general in Minnesota because it appeared that the DA wasn't going to be as fervent as he needed to be in making sure justice was served. So and actually Minnesota has filed civil rights charges against Minneapolis PD, which shocked me when I saw it earlier today. So I just think the reaction, the outpour, the fact that people are standing up and saying this is something that shouldn't be happening is putting pressure on the system. And there's some bucking going on. Like, of course, Saab, the person that occupies the White House, he's still being an idiot, but that's to be expected. But people obviously aren't. They're just not buying this crap anymore. Like, he's threatening military action against U.S. citizens. Governor of Virginia said, we're not lending our National Guard, to come in D.C. and harass and abuse and potentially kill citizens. Like, it's just stupid. But yeah, it's a lot to take in, and I'm with Octavia. I've really been monitoring my intake on social media. Only trying to look at things that won't kind of drive my stress levels up, because you really have to be careful how you traumatize yourself from what you watch. Like, I haven't watched the video. I'm not going to watch it of the George Floyd situation. But yeah, I'm just talking to my friends and just monitoring what's going on. It has potential for some very positive things to come out of this. Unfortunately, another life had to be taken for no reason for this to happen. But it not it is what it is. But thankfully the response has been what it is. Because for me, I can't imagine looking at this and just being like, another day in life. But yeah, not to be long-winded, but this is an important time for us. And just to stick with kind of the sports theme, watch these coaches, watch these college coaches, watch what they're saying or watch what they're not saying. It's important. I know the HBCU thing is a huge topic, but yeah, watch those guys too. Watch everybody. But it's important that we look at stuff like this. Like I saw earlier, Clemson put out a statement, and a former player chimed in and was like, Dabo, I got respect for you, but you let one of your assistant coaches call a teammate the N-word with no repercussions. And he said he urged players not to participate in the sit-in they were having on campus. So we got to be vocal about stuff like that. Just kind of know where people stand and just where their allegiances lie. Like, that stuff is monumental in a time like this. But yeah, just to wrap it up, it's hopefully this is a catalyst for change. Hopefully people are starting to see that we haven't been making it up this whole time. Like, we're under attack here, and I'm glad that for the most part the general public is going to bat for us.
On you, Wilson.
Yeah. Kind of just to piggyback on both those. Yeah, like one of the few tweets I've had, I just mostly been retweeting, is you definitely got to protect your mental space, taking in all this information. I think either Raymond or Octavia said, like, when you see it, for some it's kind of new, which is sad because, our people have been saying this for forever, which is why I think this might be a little bit different than in past times. And, both with, I don't think, and it's not to minimize George Floyd, but everyone's like, not everyone, but some folks are like, it's not just George Floyd, it's Breonna Taylor. It's a culmination of all the people getting to this point. And I had the discussions with some folks that, a little bit younger than me, and, I didn't think about it, just stuck in my own space at times. Like, there's a lot of folks where, that generation kind of behind us, or maybe not behind us, but a couple behind us, where they were like 10 or 11 during the Trayvon times, whatever, right? If not around his age. Now you couple that with that, that's what they're seeing their formative years with everything that's happened since. They're grown now. This is just a culmination of all those things. It's the boiling point. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Um, like I said, this has been going on forever. And I think one of the things where, I get like Raymond, I feel you with the, I can't watch everything because it is traumatic, but at the same time, I'm not part of the don't share it crew. And I'm not, this has nothing to do with you. I'm just explaining. I'm not part of one of the don't share it crew because it needs to be seen for the folks who keep pretending like we're making this stuff up, and I think that's one of the biggest changes in, history to this point where technology is different now. Everybody's walking around with a freaking camera in their hand. Before, people wouldn't take us at our words. Now it's routine proof. And George Floyd thing just kind of ticked off the most where the man looked dead at the camera while doing what he was doing, perfectly aware of what it is, not worried about any repercussions, anything else. That you could just do those types of things and you're not worried about nothing because the system's set up for you. Like Xavier mentioned, yeah, like you almost none to the point where, yeah, somebody might get convicted or something like that, but it doesn't mean anything because for the most part, the only cops we see that actually get convicted and things get carried out are the black cops. White cops, for the most part, nothing really happens. They make a lot of noise, move some things around. You pop up in a couple counties over, you still got your job, able to do what you were doing before. Like the Chauvin character, this man's been doing this for almost 10 years. And you get to that point, that's ridiculous. Anybody else is that negligent on their job, doing anything else. If that's a pilot, how are we looking at them? Like, you're not even making it to year 2. You acting like that. But, I know we got more to get through. So go ahead, Cardell.
I wish America loved black people as much as they love our culture, man. A lot of these suspect folks, and I'm talking about racist white folks, will smile and play the part, acting like they're really locked arm in arm with us, no matter what, when they're really not. And they're only there as long as they can benefit from us and association with us, and that has to stop. That has to end. Bottom line is systematic racism must die now, immediately. We can't afford to let this keep continuing. As much as the deaths of George Floyd, the family, look, I'm just gonna say this. I pray that George Floyd, the family of George Floyd, the family of Breonna Taylor, the family of Ahmaud Arbery, and now David McAtee, that's the owner of Yaya's Barbecue Shack in Louisville, who was shot and killed by 2 Louisville cops and 2 National Guard soldiers during a protest just this Monday. You see what I'm saying? Like, I pray they get justice and that those that did the murder go to jail for life, if not worse. I pray for that. But even then, even if, let's say, I hope that all that happens, things will still be the same. And the reason why it will still be the same because there's a lot of layers to what adds to the systematic racism. Just think about the racist teachers who kill minority kids' spirits, saying they can't accomplish a dream because they look down on us. Think about the racist lawyers that don't properly represent us, the racist judges who deem us guilty as soon as we walk in the courtroom just because of the color of our skin. Just think about the unjust sentences for petty crimes, but in return won't even send these cops who have murdered one of us on camera to jail. Some of them don't even get charged. You have racists in the FBI, the DEA, the CIA. You have racist mayors, racist governors, racists in the Senate, racist congressmen. Lord knows it's a racist in the White House right now. So until all those types are gone and we have qualified people in those positions with, integrity and moral value within themselves, who are concerned about the greater good for all, we're going to keep going through this. And that's just the reality, which is why all of us must stay educated on people who campaign for these positions and vote. The reason why 45 is where he is now is due to a lot of us not voting. I saw the Netflix special with Michelle Obama, kind of documenting her rise throughout her life, and she was on her book tour in that documentary, and she said that her and her husband, President Obama, who's still my president, they took it as a slap in the face when so many of us didn't get out there and vote. because that's what they stress throughout their time, not just in the White House, but leading up to the White House. That's our tool. We have to get out there and vote. And yes, I know about the collusion and all that stuff. People who want to throw that in there that may see this, I'm aware of that. But, you know, 45 only won by what, a couple 100,000 or whatnot. So it was close. But it was over 2 million, about 2 million of us that registered that didn't vote. So what if we would have came out, just a quarter of that would have just came out to vote? We wouldn't be in this mess now. You know what I'm saying? Not saying it would be perfect, but the world will be a lot better. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it can't possibly, I mean, it could get worse. I pray it don't, but this is by far in my lifetime the worst I've ever seen a president just perform. It's not even close. And it's hard for me to imagine Hillary, or if she would have won, she would have did a worse job than this. Because even, I mean, no one's this evil. He's just pure evil. And that's just stuff we got to hold ourselves accountable. I know I voted. I'm just talking about us in general. You know, you can't. My thing is, and I got to say, you can't complain if you're not willing to put action and fight and do what's right and do what's necessary. I'm not trying to hear it. And I heard a lot of people I know say, "Man, our vote ain't gonna count anyway, man. It don't matter. Don't matter. It does matter." And look, we're dealing with the aftermath of that. So we gotta get these people out of these positions. Otherwise, I mean, unfortunately, what happened to these people I just previously mentioned is going to keep happening. And just think about all the people that these things have happened to that weren't caught on camera. You see what I'm saying? I could just only imagine, man. So, man, it's just it's frustrating. And lastly, I got a couple more things. Stop looking to celebrities to inspire and provide leadership for us. Majority of them are not qualified. I mean, just because they entertain good, they're talented. You know, like we gotta get over this, man. Like
I would say
we've
most
been
of
past that
them.
time. I mean, look, they're not qualified. They're just not, man. I'm just sorry. It's just some of them are more
crazy.
jacked up than. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's crazy to me that folks are even disappointed. Like, why did you have them there to begin with? Like, what is wrong with you? How could you look at them and be like, "That's a model, whatever"? What are you doing? You don't even know.
No disrespect, I get it. And no disrespect, I get it. It was a time where people in celebrity positions, like during the civil rights era, the Jim Crow era, but before that, it was a time where we had to rely on them. You know, the Harry Belafontes, the Bill Russells, the Jim Brown. We had to rely on them to give us information because we were coming out of a period in our history where things were so bad and we were so uneducated on stuff. We didn't know. We had to be educated. They were in there in the circles with these folks, so they can educate us and let us know. So we were relying on them to give us information. But that time is past and gone. You can literally Google any information you want now. Everybody has a phone. So, man, you should be up to date on what's going on. You should know what to do and what not to do if you really want to make change. And that's something that each individual got to, as within themselves, man. We can protest all we want. But like I said, if no one gets out there and vote and this fool gets back in office, what's going to happen? I mean, the country's really going to, the world's really going to burn down. So, that's just things we got to do. And then also the hypocritical Black folks, the people in our community who saying we need to unite, we need to support one another, just stop lying. I mean, do what you can to help, but a lot of y'all full of it. I'm just keeping it above y'all. A lot of y'all full of it, man. Every time a situation like this happens, y'all sing that same song. Then when it dies down, y'all back to being snakes, and y'all back to being y'all don't follow nothing y'all preaching about. Just stop, because I'll give y'all a good example right now. My folks at Ooze and Ahs, they've been a beacon in the community for years, for decades, and then all of a sudden I hear that they about to close up, and not a lot of people were getting behind them and trying to go and support them, even though I know for a fact they support a lot of people. And don't get me wrong, I know both of the owners. Me and Aj ain't seen eye to eye a lot over the years, but when he hit me up and told me about the situation, I just saw that, and look, man, it's a booming Black business that's about to go out of business because of the pandemic. So I'm gonna do what I can to help. And that's why I started posting stuff on everything we do so people can get out. And I went down there and got some food, and I put my money where my mouth is. And I've been doing that quietly behind the scenes. And it wasn't just helping out people I know. It was more so the fact that, man, I'm just helping out a Black business owner, because we don't have many, especially one that has reached that level of success, especially in the restaurant business. We live it, like people don't know the studio we're at is Black owned. We have a Black owned show. We have diversity, female co, all that, man. We preaching it. We're living it. A lot of people just talk. They don't live it. So if you're not gonna put action behind it, just shut the hell up, man. Because that's the main reason why this fool's in office now. Had we been so unified to begin with, we wouldn't have even had to deal with this. That's just my take on all of that, man. It's a lot of layers to that, and until we get all this, it's bigger than, unfortunately, a cop just killing another Black man, another brother. These cops shooting up sisters in their houses for no reason, and man, it's deeper than that. And until we get all these layers under control, like how we should, this stuff won't keep happening.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break and come back and wrap up. You're watching the Focus TV. All right, welcome back to the Focus TV. To piggyback off of what Cardell just finished saying, like that's the biggest thing about not only just that, about the unifying all these messages, period. Like even folks that want to be allies, like this can't just be it can't be a trend, it can't be just for the moment. Like it has to be action behind it. Like legitimate, sustained action behind it. Otherwise, like he just said, we've been talking about, none of it really matters. This is not like it's a multifaceted thing that, is like you said, it's a multi-layered system. It's a lot of different places that work needs to be done. And the other thing, like today, I saw all around, and again, just trying not to take too much stuff in because there's a lot of bull out there right now. But man, like it's not that hard. We're in the information age. It's not that hard to get educated. It really isn't. There's nothing wrong with not knowing, but it takes 2 seconds. Most of us are stuck in the house anyways. And even so, most of us got these things, these little hand computer looking things where, you can look up stuff and watch stuff and listen to things. It's not that hard. And I'm kind of seeing some folks, some of the folks that quote unquote want to be allies or whatever, what can I do? What can I do? It's not that hard. You know what it looks like. This is nothing new. You just have to listen, not respond, not talk back immediately, be quiet and earnestly listen. Because it's I read this great article the other day. There was somebody talking about their privilege. Like for the most part, it's like air for the most part, because that's how the system's been constructed. You don't even know. To a degree, I mean, we know the difference because we're on this side of it, but some don't know the difference until you start interacting with others. And we're at this place now. Again, it's information. It's not hard right now to know what's right and what's wrong. Like literally, Octavia, you mentioned the 2 kids that got put out the car in Atlanta. Did everybody see the car in front of them? Did everybody see it?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was wild.
Making a face at the camera, I'm filming.
Yeah, right in front of them. Like that's legitimately what we're screaming about. They went right in front of the car that got broken into and people got tased in, laughing and screaming, not a care in the world, because it's not the same thing. It's legitimately not the same thing, and we've been saying this over and over and over. So again, if for folks that want to be an ally or want to help or just want to be a good human being, shut up, listen, educate, and just, I don't know, it's not that hard. Care. Like, yeah, it doesn't affect you directly. That's fine. But all these other things benefit you directly. You know right from wrong. It's just not that hard a concept to grasp unless you choose not to get it. Just not that difficult. Anybody else have anything before we wrap up?
I just want to say rest in peace to the Wizards Bullets legend Wes Unseld, passed away at 74. Obviously, the greatest player in franchise history. It's not close. I mean, he did the impossible. He brought the championship to the city. Led the team to a finals 4 times in a decade. That's the type of run we haven't seen. period. So, being an undersized center, 6'6", 6'7", battling against Bill Russells, the Will Chamberlains, the Jabars, Willis Reed, Cowens, Bill Walton. I mean, he battled against some monsters and held his own, being very undersized. You can only just get proper respect where it's due, and I didn't even know. This is something I learned just kind of when the Wizards sent out the news that he had a school up in Baltimore on the Unseld School since 1978. One of the few fully accredited, Black-owned, non-church affiliated elementary schools in Maryland. With his wife serving as principal, his daughter Kim serving as one of the primary teachers at the school. And Wes occasionally, served as the bus driver, was the basketball coach for years. I never knew that. And it's a shame that wasn't promoted all these years when a lot of other nonsense was. So I thought kind of NBA players kind of forming their own schools was kind of like, a recent thing. Man, he had that back in 78. And that's the biggest accomplishment to me that he did. And no one blows that up. No one talks about that. There's too many people so busy trying to discredit those eras and those players from that time, their playing ability, instead of looking at their impact that made it possible for all the players that have came today. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to give him big respect on, job well done, man. Straight up, man. Just he maximized his life, he maximized his talent, he maximized his potential. And all you can do is just give a man like that his respect.
I agree with that all the way around. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you haven't, get over to finestmac.com. Got some new episodes of the latest probes up. Go check those out. Get over to mymonosports.com as always. And follow us here, the Focus TV, all across social media. We never know exactly what we got planned at all times. Know we got some probes coming in the coming weeks. We'll be back here next week. And we'll have more news as it looks like some leagues are getting closer to possibly restarting, things of that nature. But that depends if, the world's still here come that time, whatever date that is. Because, want to thank you guys for tuning in again. It's been Focus TV for us all. See you guys soon.
All right. See y'all.
See ya.